For centuries, skeptics argued that the Bible was nothing more than a collection of legends. No archaeological evidence, no historical corroboration, no physical proof that any of its people, places, or events existed outside its own pages. Just stories passed down through generations, embellished with each retelling. Then the ground started talking. In the last 150 years, archaeology has surrendered artifact after artifact, inscription after inscription, each one a data point in a case that has become impossible to ignore. Today, you will examine 7 discoveries, 7 pieces of physical evidence pulled from the soil of the ancient world that confirm what the biblical text recorded thousands of years ago. I am your guide through the evidence that connects scripture to soil, belief to bone, and history to the artifacts buried beneath our feet. Let us begin. Northern Israel, 1993. Archaeologists excavating the ancient city of Tel Dan uncover a fragment of black basalt. A victory stele, a stone slab erected by a conquering king to commemorate a military triumph. The inscription is in Aramaic. It boasts of defeating a king of Israel and a king of the House of David. That phrase, House of David, sent shockwaves through the archaeological world. For decades, critical scholars had argued that King David was a mythical figure. No evidence outside the Bible. He was, they claimed, like King Arthur, a literary invention. Then, this stone, carved by an enemy king who had no reason to flatter Israel, references the dynasty David founded less than 200 years after his death. A 9th century BC inscription, a hostile witness, confirming that David was real, that his dynasty was known across the region, and that the biblical account rests on historical bedrock. Older still, 1896. Sir Flinders Petrie excavates a mortuary temple in Thebes, Egypt. His team uncovers a 7-foot granite stele commissioned by Pharaoh Merneptah, son of Ramses the Great. Dated to approximately 1208 BC, the inscription is a victory hymn. Merneptah boasts of campaigns in Canaan, and buried in a single line is a word never before seen outside the Bible: Israel. The full line reads, "Israel is laid waste, its seed is no more." The earliest known mention of Israel outside the biblical text, confirming 3 things. First, a people group called Israel existed in Canaan by the late 13th century BC. Second, they were significant enough for a pharaoh to name them. Third, the Egyptian determinative used is for people rather than land, suggesting a semi-nomadic group, precisely as the biblical narrative describes the Israelites during the period of the Judges. The Egyptian record and the biblical record agree. Deceptively simple. 1961. An Italian team excavating a Roman theater in Caesarea Maritima finds a limestone block reused as a step in a staircase. Turned over, it bears a partial Latin inscription. The surviving text? Tiberius, Pontius Pilatus, prefect of Judea. For centuries, no physical evidence confirmed that Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor who, according to the Gospels, presided over the trial of Jesus, had ever existed. Skeptics pointed to this absence. Then this stone, carved during Pilate's own lifetime, confirmed that the man who sentenced Jesus to crucifixion was no fictional character. He was the Roman prefect of Judea. He lived, he governed, he left his name in stone. 4 discoveries remain. Each one has forced skeptics to revise what they thought they knew. If this investigation is challenging your assumptions or strengthening them, enlist in our next expedition. Hit the subscribe button right now. 1947. A Bedouin shepherd searching for a lost goat near the Dead Sea throws a stone into a cave and hears pottery shatter. Inside lay one of the greatest archaeological discoveries of the 20th century. The Dead Sea Scrolls include copies of every book of the Hebrew Bible except Esther, manuscripts 1,000 years older than any previously known Hebrew biblical text. Before the scrolls, the oldest complete Hebrew Bible dated to the 10th century AD. The scrolls closed that gap. And they confirmed something remarkable. The biblical text had been transmitted with extraordinary accuracy. The book of Isaiah, found in Cave 1, was virtually identical to the text read in synagogues today. Proof that the text Christians and Jews have read for 2 millennia is substantially the same text being copied 2 centuries before Christ. Beneath the city of David in Jerusalem. 2 Kings 20 describes how King Hezekiah, anticipating an Assyrian siege, constructed a tunnel to bring water inside the city walls. For centuries, just another biblical story. Then, in 1838, explorer Edward Robinson crawled through a water tunnel 533 meters long, carved through solid rock, winding in an S-curve beneath Jerusalem. Near its end, an inscription in Paleo-Hebrew described the final moments of construction. 2 teams digging from opposite directions, hearing each other's voices through the rock, breaking through. The Siloam inscription does not mention Hezekiah by name, but the engineering, the dating, the location, everything aligns. The tunnel exists. The inscription exists. The Assyrian siege exists in the historical record. 1990. Construction workers in South Jerusalem accidentally break into a burial cave. Inside, 12 limestone ossuaries, bone boxes for secondary burial. One is elaborately decorated. On its side, carved in Aramaic, Yehoseph bar Caiaphas, Joseph, son of Caiaphas. The New Testament records Caiaphas as the high priest who presided over the Sanhedrin trial of Jesus and handed him to Pontius Pilate. Here, in a burial cave on the outskirts of Jerusalem, was his bone box, containing the bones of a man approximately 60 years old, consistent with the historical Caiaphas. From kings and pharaohs and high priests to the gospel narratives themselves. John 9 describes Jesus healing a man born blind at the Pool of Siloam. For centuries, this location existed only in the biblical text. Then, 2004, workers repairing a sewage line in the city of David uncover ancient stone steps. Archaeologists excavate further. A massive pool, 225 feet long, trapezoidal, with stone steps descending into the water on 3 sides. The Pool of Siloam was real, precisely where John placed it. Precisely the kind of public gathering place where a healing would be witnessed by a crowd. A detail that matters for the credibility of the narrative. We have a stele that names King David, a monument that records Israel in Canaan, a stone that proves Pilate governed Judea, scrolls that preserve the biblical text, a tunnel that matches Kings and Chronicles, an ossuary that held the bones of Caiaphas, a pool that confirms the geography of the Gospels. This is not speculation. This is not interpretation. This is what the earth has surrendered. How many times has someone said, "There is no evidence," when what they really meant was, "We have not found it yet"? The ground keeps confirming the book. I am your guide through the evidence that connects scripture to soil, belief to bone, and history to the artifacts buried beneath our feet. If this investigation has challenged your assumptions or strengthened them, enlist in our next expedition. Hit the subscribe button right now. Our next investigation goes where the evidence leads.